crime, rising crime, street crime, as long as it's not Wall Street crime, it really is a constant topic in the media, and I just wondered what Rashid or maybe some of your other characters had to say about it. Have we lost Rashid?
Well, I'm going to try to find him.
What is his hat's right there?
Well, we're in Boston. He was like afraid to come because he's like...
Oh, they're going to be fine to him this time, right?
No. Like, not about the hat. He was like, oh, black man, no. But he'll come for you.
Okay, he'll come for me. We'll be nice to him.
Yeah.
I just think this whole crime story is something that, the numbers go down and the coverage goes up, right? Street crime, youth crime, any statistic they can find is going down, down, down. And yet the attention in the media is just more, more, more. So I don't know, what does Rashid think about crime?
All right, first of all, I don't want to be on no flip cam. So I'm gonna say it like this. For me, it's very easy. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put it to you like this, Laura. I feel like this about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like me, myself, and we talk about the president a lot tonight and all this, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know what I'm saying? At first, I was like, all right, I identify with Barack. I mean, it's easy to see why I would identify with Barack Obama. But then it's like, in case it's not obvious, you know what I'm saying? In his career as a young man, he had gained a lot of experience as a lawyer. He had gained a lot of, you know what I'm saying, valuable experience in dealing with the law. And me, myself, in my younger days, I had also had my share of experience in dealing with the law. But I'm going to put it to y'all like this, though. I'm not doing nothing no different from a lot of people that's my same age, you know what I'm saying? But they might be from a more affluent, like you would say, background, or they might have, you know what I'm saying, that white skin privilege, how y'all put it, whatever. And it's like, you know what I'm saying, I could see it. Because everybody in jail, they ain't got no money, number one, or they black or they brown, number two, or both. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? That's not no justice. That's not, you know what I'm saying? Look, I'm going to put it to you like this. Me, in my neighborhood, it's like, you know what I'm saying? You growing up, I'm saying you just trying to get to and from school without getting harassed by some big dudes with guns who ain't afraid to use them. That's right, I'm talking about NYPD. And then, I'm going to call it like I see it. I'm going to call it like my experience, all right? Y'all want the free press, I'm going to give you free press. You know, then it's like, you know what I'm saying? If you white and rich and messing with some drugs, some of these college kids, they selling drugs like that's their major. You know what I'm saying? For real. And they don't never see no inside of no cop car. So you can't tell me the same statistics that show, you know, black folks or whatever is doing more crimes that keep locking us up, 2 million. That's making loot for them. You know what I'm saying? That's as far as I'm concerned, they don't replace auction blocks and Jim Crow with cell blocks and death row. That's how they make their loot. That's how they make their loot. They want them warm bodies. But I'm gonna say this too though. Not just no college kids. If you white and rich and an old cat messing with some drugs, they just gonna apologize for invading your privacy, you know what I'm saying? And then let you get on back to being America's favorite conservative radio host or whatever it is you do. I'm talking about double standard right now, double standard.
There's a lot of media talk about something that some people out there called aliens. It has something to do with immigration, but as you say, the word never gets applied to Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know whether you're a friend from India or Mrs. Lang wants to talk about this, but this is something that I think really a lot of people here are concerned about, the creation of this panic around migrants.
Well, first of all, Laura, I just want to take one brief moment to tell you that I was hoping to have the opportunity to
so glad you joined
spend time with you today. I'm Habiba. You have not seen me since Broadway.
Yes.
But you know that I am teaching comparative literature still at the community college. And a few of my students, I think they did make it here. So you will get the extra credit, I promised you. And I want to say, as a Jordanian woman, first of all, that it is for me, for people to know the significance of the alternative media on this as I have heard said on the program like yours, the Free Speech TV, the Democracy Now!, that it is important to make the connection from the Middle East to the Midwest in this country. It is one fight, one struggle. The struggle is the same. The struggle is for the basic human rights in the face of brazen oligarchy. I have to put it this way. And perhaps the scale, it is different depending on where you are. Of course, we have to speak of a spectrum. We don't want to be unrealistic. But the principle that the government must be by the people, for the people, that is the same. It is consistent across those thousands of miles, and our heart is with your heart in your struggle, the solidarity for the workers' rights, the basic rights to have self-determining lives for yourself and your children. That is all anyone wants. So I say that I believe that it is connected to your question about the so-called alien. I mean, really, you answer the question with the question, because the word alien, to use that is to create this framework where the person is not like you. They must be otherized. You must begin with this place of this person is fundamentally not like me. Once you have this, you can go anywhere. And we have seen it across the history.
Do you have anything to tell us about the uprisings in
I was
Cairo?
not in Tahrir Square.
Because we saw media covering Cairo that we never see covering uprisings in this country. How did you do it? How did your friends and colleagues do it in the region?
Well, I know that we have this conversation about the Facebook and that this was just an uprising which surprised everyone. This, as we know, thank God, from the alternative media here, it is ignoring the 40 years long struggle of women, for example, the feminist movements that are 40 years older than Sarah Jones, okay? And also that the movement for people's rights, workers' rights, that there were strikes before, that Mubarak has not been enjoying popularity, only this government has been enjoying believing that Mubarak was somehow acceptable. As I like to tell people, I like the Sesame Street, but that is the only kind of puppets that I think we should explore.
Where do you go for your news?
For me, I feel now at least a bit more safe that I can tell people. I do, when I am here, watch the Al Jazeera English. But before you feel...
Are you not worried about terrorism?
Believe me, I sometimes worried to tell my son, if you want to end on the don't fly list, if you are not careful watching the news in your iPhone, you will be pulled out at the airport. That is how much I fear. But I can tell you that I remain optimistic. I see that there are people who are committed to sharing true information, not the spin. And the mainstream is forced to follow. When this movement leads the way, as was mentioned here, whether it is the Wisconsin, whether it is the demonstrations, whether it is coverage of natural disasters, otherwise known as Republicans. Oh, I'm sorry, but that is my feeling. That is my feeling. I know that you are non-partisan, but I feel this way. I do. I feel that they are this natural outgrowth of corruption in this country for the most part. And there are some Democrats also that I will hold to the same fire. But all of that to say that I feel optimistic that the alternative media they are creating the conditions that bring shame to the mainstream when they sit on their laurels, and I want to be polite, and pretend to be a fourth estate when really they are as lapdogs, and I mean that. So that is my feeling. But I will leave you now, Laura.
Bye-bye. But
Thank you.
I'd love to have Sarah come back for just a second if she was anywhere around.
Hi.
This is
This is my real voice.
the woman really is a true fighter, among other things. And I just want to ask one last question. When you had a ton of bricks coming down on you around your revolution, when you had a ton of people saying you're the problem, what gave you the oomph to sue, to fight, and to come back stronger?
I have to say, I think I felt very isolated, and to now, Twitter, I joke about this, Lorraine Levine always says,
Oh, the Twitter, they all have the Twitter. You know, sounds like a disorder. You should call your doctor. I have this horrible Twitter.
but I'm on Twitter today, and at Jones Sarah, you can do that if you want, JONESARAH, we can be friends. I never go on there, but anyway, I'm trying to get better. But if something like that happened to me today, I'd tweet about it. I would, reach out to my network, and I think then, this was 10 years ago, I didn't feel that same connection to a larger community. And thank goodness there was, I remember being able to reach out to members of the alternative media. And I remember, people like, progressives. Gloria Steinem came to my aid. People for the American Way.
Do people remember what the Your Revolution piece was? Do you remember what the Your Revolution piece was?
But I'll say it was Bill Scott Heron wrote The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. I wrote a feminist remix, sort of, based on some hip-hop song. I'm a hip-hop head, but I was really tired of the kind of monotonous sexist messages that were coming from hip-hop music, in addition to pop music and the rest of the culture. I mean, Hugh Hefner is not a hip-hop performer, but he's just as bad as anybody else. But the point is, I loved this music, and it was actually a ray of light, politically in so many ways, with Public Enemy and everything else. But there was this rise of corporate-owned and corporate-supported, kind of mindless and sexist hip-hop. So I wrote something against it, and the FCC took the opportunity to censor it. Some conservatives were calling in for family values, because that's a really good use of time. And I fought, and the only other person who got censored was Eminem. And they dropped his censorship because he had a huge record company behind him. Interscope Records was behind him, but I was an independent poet working out of West Village. It's not the same.
But you won. In the end of the day, she won.
In the end of the day, I won reverse.
I want to thank Sarah Jones for coming out and hanging in there for the end of the night.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all for hanging in there for the end of the night.
And I just want to remind everybody that the Shake Your Media Maker dance party starts at 9 at the Lighthouse. We'll be shaking our media makers wherever they are. Sessions kick off at 9 in the morning. Don't forget, and sleep in. And thank you, everybody, for the work that you do. Keep it up. We need you. And thank you watching at home for Free Speech TV across the country. Thanks.
Yay! Yay, free